make a move, so just going to have to sit back and wait for a little while. So it's Belford ahead of O'Gorman and Mounsey. That's your podium. Fourth place still Mason Foster, gapping Ryan Hitchcock just slightly. Emmanuel Brinson and Josh Bannister also getting close for sixth place. And then eighth place beyond it's James Cook, Clayton Edmonds, Troy Jeffrey also getting involved, Joe Farragher and Luca Hopkins in a great battle all through the field.
Evan Belford was was over a second quicker than O'Gorman last time around. He's not going to be that much quicker this time around. O'Gorman hasn't dropped off straight away here. They come across the line. Evan Belford 54.6. That's the fastest lap of the race for him. But O'Gorman also into the 54s, 54.9 for him. Sullivan Mounsey lapping 1.4 seconds slower, but he's in a safe third place. Although Mason Foster was 2.5 tenths quicker than him last time around, so a little bit of variance
as we got
here.
A few fallers down at the final corner. We're not sure who they are. Marshall's just going over to help them up. Yellow flags at the final corner and the red flags coming out. So red flag in the first race of the morning, the Junior LC40 Elites, but coming over the line with 6 laps completed, 3 to go before the red flag came out. Evan Belford ahead of Casey O'Gorman, 52 ahead of 7, not for the first time this weekend. Sullivan Mounsey also on course to take another great podium. The number 44, we spoke to him yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to hear that, you can catch up on the Cool FAB-Racing website and on motorsport.radio, where he had a great conversation telling us he likes the rain. He said he didn't mind it, but did very exceptionally well in the rain yesterday and on course for another third place so far. And it's going quite well for Evan Belford and Sullivan Mounsey in the early stages of this morning, Kiko.
It really is. Evan Belford starting his Sunday account of victories as he means to go on. This is going to be now a little bit more confidence with Evan Belford. I think Casey was coming back into that race though a little bit. You can never discount Casey O'Gorman. He's the championship leader in this class for a reason. Bailey Stewart Campbell was the unlucky one there though, a late starter in that race and only subsequently picking up 1 point from proceedings, which is a bit of a disaster as far as his championship is concerned. But he is still in with a shout, and of course he has another race later. These guys will be back out after lunch, the first race after lunch.
Live coverage of round 6 of the 2018 Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championships. We are live at Glenigors in North Wales. Still just 2 rounds left to go after this one. We move to Wilton Mill in Northamptonshire in a couple of weekends' time, 3 weekends' time for the penultimate round of the season. And then in October we go back to Tattershall, the final round of 2018. It does feel oh so strange at the moment to really say that we are going to be ending the season quite so quickly, but October still a good couple of months away. Still some fantastic action to come from Glenigors at round 6. Thank you very much for joining us on the Cool FAB-Racing website, on motorsport.radio and on social media. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's great to have you listening at home, or if you're trackside, wherever you are. Why not let us know in the comments below? We'll get through to reading some of those in just a short while. But so far, a good result, and it looks like it's been declared for the Junior LC40 Elites. And Evan Belford provisionally then taking the win in the second race for the Junior LC40 Elite of the weekend. Casey O'Gorman, well, that's struck twice for him now, and for one of the first times this season, again in the rain. It happened last time out at Red Lodge. He had a few struggles in the rain, Kiko. He wasn't maybe enjoying it as much as some of the other riders out there, but it is why they call the rain a great leveller.
It is a great leveller, and we've also got to be realistic. If second is the worst that Casey does in the rain, it's still quite an accomplished all-round, all-weather rider. Interesting point for me is this championship now with Bailey Stewart Campbell just dropping a whole load of points there. Luckily for him, Evan Belford took 5 more points off Casey O'Gorman, and that needs to happen now. We've only got 7 races of this class left, 1 here, 3 at Wilton Mill, 3 at Tattershall at the end of the season. There's only 2 rounds after this one. The championship is starting to come to a close, and its results like this are going to influence the outcome of it.
Well, results like this always going to influence the outcome of any championship, really hotting up on the Junior LC40 Elites. But still to come this morning and indeed this afternoon, we've got the AC40 Rookies will be out in just a few moments' time, with the Mini GP50s then third on the bill. The Extreme 200s will then be followed by the Mini F1 sidecars, which had a interesting race yesterday using all of the curbs and then some. They'll be followed by the Mini GP70s, then the AC40 Pros. The Pit by 140 and Moto teams will be second last out this morning and this afternoon. The Senior Mini Motos bookending our race meeting. Well, the junior category is always providing some fantastic action, and the AC40 Rookies will be looking to emulate some of the close racing we've just enjoyed.
They will indeed. It'll be interesting to see about the AC40 Rookies, because that championship is really, really close at the moment. Ollie Horner and Samuel Munson are the two dominant forces, but mistakes have led to the likes of Ruben Bray becoming able to join the championship party, really, in that respect, and Henry McCartney as well was series leader a couple of rounds ago. So lots to look forward to in that class. We say there's 4 winners there. They're the 4 main championship contenders, but there's loads of possible winners. Wet weather. Finn and Werity seemed to like it last time out. Race 2 at Red Lodge, he took the victory. So Ruben Bray looks comfortable in the wet as well. There's lots of different riders that could pop up, not cause a surprise result, but just maybe take a few points off the regular championship fighters.
Could well take a few points out. They're about to head onto circuit then for their second race of the weekend. The AC40 Rookies revving up in the assembly area, but yesterday's race certainly was a very close affair.
Samuel Munson just about holding on to the victory ahead of Ollie Horner. That doesn't mean too much for the championship. Ollie Horner's lead comes down from Samuel Munson, but I think it goes up overall from 3 points to what would it be?
2 points.
Yeah, so it's probably stayed about the same. But either way, Ollie Horner's consistency has allowed him to be the championship leader, and you'll see what we can do in these difficult conditions now.
Very difficult conditions for these very young riders, and the grid as follows then. Samuel Munson starts on pole position with Ollie Horner lining up alongside him. Henry McCartney and Archie Gibbs are your second row of the grid, with Ollie Sims, Ruben Bray, Finn and Werity, Charlie Huntingford, Blake Wilson and Warwick Brady lining up in the top 10. William Harris and Elliot Jones are on row 6, whilst row 7 goes the way of Jacob Stevenson and Max Werity. From 7th place, Finnan took a great victory in the second race at Red Lodge just 2 weekends ago. Will he be on course to do the same? Really has had some good success in the rain, is the number 112 rider. But as they make their way onto the grid, Kiko, your final thoughts before we get this race underway?
It really is a lottery in these kind of conditions, because this is the rookies class. They're not going to be trying to charge off, I don't think, straight away. They're going to try and get a feel for the conditions. They're not going to be experienced in these conditions. Got to try and work the track out. Some of them might have not been here before. It's a difficult track to learn, so I think they'll just work their way into the race, and then when it comes to it, we'll maybe see a pattern form towards the end. It's an 8-lap encounter.
8 laps in prospect then, as the riders just heading onto the grid for the final time. A few of the riders a little bit further round at the circuit, so getting that last minute sighting lap, which in these conditions you desperately need. And as they all make their way onto the grid, you're listening to live coverage of round 6, the 2018 FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championships, live from Glanigors in North Wales on Motorsport Radio, on the FAB-Racing website and on social media. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do keep leaving your comments below. We will get to them in just a few moments after this second race for the AC40 Rookies gets underway. The marshals moving from the side of the grid, just moments away from a race start. No starting lights here at Glanigors. We use a green flag. Yesterday morning and afternoon we were using a Welsh flag, so they make a reappearance. Nonetheless, the green flag being prepared, but it's not when it goes up. It's a very long hold. Now it goes down. We get underway side by side for the start, and a really poor start from Ollie Horner, it looked like, going into turn 1 and 2 for the first time out of 8. Ollie Horner struggling, but Samuel Munson not so. Henry McCartney also getting involved quite voraciously as they make their way into turns 2 and 3 for the first time. Spoon Corner, a real challenge for all of our riders to get through, but so far everyone has managed to get through cleanly. Line astern, a few riders going for some cheeky moves, just discovering the extra patches of grip where you might not expect them to be in these opening laps. It's so important to really scope it out as quickly as you can.
Don't want to try and win this race in the first lap. You can never do that. You've got to just bide your time and get used to track conditions. At the moment, Samuel Munson is your race leader ahead of Henry McCartney, and everyone just following them really through. It's a very difficult part of the circuit, hard to overtake, especially in the wet conditions. But at the moment, Samuel Munson is your race leader. They'll come across the line. Here's the rundown. So Samuel Munson ahead of Henry McCartney. Then it's Archie Gibbs, Ruben Bray fourth, Ollie Horner from the front row down to fifth, Ollie Sims sixth. Good start from Warwick Brady. He's into seventh place. Charlie Huntingford is 8th, Finn and Werity has slipped to 9th, Blake Wilson is 10th, Elliot Jones, William Harris, Jacob Stevenson, Max Werity and Marco Holt are the rest of the field as they just go now to the far side of the course through turn 4, dropping down to the carousel at turn 5.
Through the carousel at turn number 5, side by side, just about for the race lead. Couldn't put it off is Henry McCartney. He's had a few decent results over the last couple of race meetings, but really needs to rack the wins back up to push himself back into firm championship contention. Coming into the weekend, just 20 points separated our top 4 in the championship. Still starting to close in once again, but Samuel Munson acting a bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment, trying to pull as many riders in for the fight for the lead. It's so far 2 for the race lead, a third. Archie Gibbs getting well and truly stuck in side by side for 4th and 5th with Archie Gibbs and Ollie Horner. Ruben Brain to 3rd with a new fastest lap, a 1 minute 1.1, which is 4/10 of a second quicker than McCartney and Munson, who are busy scrapping for the race lead. And all of this as they go side by side, they're going to invite Ruben Bray at the far side of the course into Spoon Curve. It is 3 for the race lead, 3 for 4th place in this race as well. Archie Gibbs holding off Ollie Horner and Ollie Sims. Horner needs to get through, grab as many points as he can, because Munson and McCartney are going to run away with this if they're not careful.
Said at the start, Ruben Bray looks like he is a good wet weather rider. He has been a good wet weather rider back at Red Lodge, and he's just honing in now on the leading two, Samuel Munson and Henry McCartney. It has gone from being a duo to now a trio. Ruben Bray is just in behind, keeping a safe distance, keeping a watching breath through the final corner. They go, and it is Samuel Munson who still leads. Henry McCartney is still second. Ruben Bray is third, doesn't set a fastest lap that time. In fact, he was a couple of tenths slower than your race leaders. Ollie Horner has got into 4th place ahead of Archie Gibbs now. 6th is Ollie Sims, 7th is Warwick Brady. But as they all go through, there is not much order change down the field. Everyone's steady away at the moment. They go through turn 4 down towards the carousel, and it is still as they were, Munson, McCartney and Ruben Bray.
Battle for 5th place now with Archie Gibbs and Ollie Sims fighting very closely going into the carousel. White Brady having gapped now Charlie Huntingford and Finn and Werity, but the 76 and the 112 for 8th place fighting side by side over the line into the carousel they go, and just about holding off each other for the time being. The race leaders holding stations at the moment. Munson versus McCartney, half distance complete, over the line they come now. 4 laps complete, 4 to go. A cheeky look at riders right hand side was the 2nd place person of Henry McCartney. Ruben Bray still starting to close in, but we've got a few riders having a bit of technical issues coming over the line. Continuing on in this race, but lost a little bit of pace.
Ruben Bray, the fastest rider on circuit last time around. Not much covers the top 3 in terms of lap time. Samuel Munson did a 101.327. Henry McCartney did a 101.312. Ruben Bray did a 101.311. So it is absolutely neck and neck between the top 3 as they go down now up to turn 6 and 7. This is where we start the run through Devil's Elbow in the final section of this circuit now. Samuel Munson doing what he needs to do, just keeping a good pace, not making mistakes. He's so far good at the moment. Henry McCartney's doing what he needs to do, and that is to stay in range. And Ruben Bray is just sitting back for a moment now, and he might attack towards the end of the race. Doesn't want to give away too much too soon. Through turn 1 they go. Last time around, it was still very close between the leading two. Samuel Munson with a new fastest lap of the race, but only just 1 minute 0.768.
0.778 was Henry McCartney in second place, so they're really not giving each other a easy time. Ruben Bray holding on, but only just about. Ollie Horner breaking away for fourth. Archie Gibbs retains fifth place, with Ollie Sims fighting very hard continuously. Warwick Brady now starting to be drawn into that battle as well. Charlie Huntingford still holding off Finn and Werity, but Blake Wilson in 10th, with Elliot Jones 11th, William Harris 12th, Jacob Stevenson in 13th, 14th for Max Werity, Marco Holt in 15th. That is your order so far, and Munson still just about holding off Henry McCartney, but starting to close in. The 31 rider using a much tighter line out of the final corner. Munson using pretty much all of the curves on Ryder's left hand side, just about keeps it into turn 1, but this is where the run for McCartney is so much better for him, up towards turns 2 and 3 right, and then the hairpin at Spoon Corner. It's a long run for these young riders, and McCartney still just about holding on. Third place Ruben Bray has got it solved at this moment, but with 2 laps left to go, a lap and a half for our race leader. About 2 kilometres left for these riders to go. It's very, very challenging. Also challenging, Archie Gibbs still holding on to 5th place. Another great ride from Archie. Ollie Sims definitely wants to be in the top 5 though.
It's going to be a battle between the leading two now. Ruben Bray's just, I think, got a bit too much to do. He's 1.1 seconds back. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, but it's definitely a battle at the front between Munson and McCartney. These two are going to go head to head. Who's it going to be? I wonder. We've got 1 lap to go. They come through the final corner then. This is the last kilometre of race 2 in the AC40 rookies, and it's being led by Munson and McCartney. Ruben Bray is still third. Ollie Horner is a distant but safe 4th.
It's getting very close. Just 2/3 of a lap left to go. Munson, McCartney and Bray, your race leaders, but McCartney hasn't got very long to make a move into Spoon Curve, one of the easier overtaking opportunities, with about 7/10 of a kilometre left to run for the carousel. Once again, will it be Munson or McCartney, Kiko?
They're at the carousel, building now towards the end of this race. Henry McCartney, he's just there. He's still in with a shout. He's not made the move yet, but he's got to be quick in this final sector. At the moment, though, Samuel Munson has got this job done. They're coming through the long right-hander at the start of Devil's Elbow. Through the left now. They flick it from right to left. Now back to the right. It's very, very tight round here, unless Henry McCartney can get a run down to the final corner, which he's got a run, but it's not going to be good enough. Through the final corner, run to the line. Samuel Munson takes the win. Henry McCartney second, and Ruben Bray completes the podium. Ollie Horner should be 4th, but there's a battle for 5th with Archie Gibbs and Ollie Sims. Who's it going to be? Archie Gibbs has it at the moment. Here comes Ollie Horner, that's 4th. Archie Gibbs runs wide. Ollie Sims gets a run to the line. An absolute neck and neck finish. Who got that by 1,000th of a second? It was Ollie Sims ahead of Archie Gibbs. Fantastic racing, and Warwick Brady there 7th. Charlie Huntingford comes across the line for 8th. Finn and Werity 9th, and Blake Wilson in 10th place. Fantastic racing. How close was that for the battle for 5th place?
Fantastically close. The second race of the AC40 rookies of the weekend. They will be back out. The second race, second last, well, their race will be the second of the final races of the weekend. And it will be on the highlights coming up then from the AC40 rookies. And there's plenty of action still to come from Cool Fab round 6. Coming over the line then, starting the race, a real good challenge. Coming up towards the line though, and it was a great run between our battle for 5th place. Archie Gibbs had held on for so long, but just 1,000th of a second. What happens when you run wide? It's very challenging though, but to take the victory then for our 2 winners, Samuel Munson, Henry McCartney, fist in the air, overjoyed. This though, the run for 5th place, side by side. Archie Gibbs running just a little deeper, and well, Warwick Brady and Ollie Sims did not need a second invitation for that. That was the second race of the weekend for the AC40 Pros. They will be back out later on this afternoon. Live coverage of round 6 of the 2018 FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championships, live from Glanigors in North Wales. Thank you very much for joining us. Still plenty of action, including the Mini GP50s up next.
This is the FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championship, the official partner series to the BSB.
Coming up next though, the Mini GP50s onto their sighting lap before the start of the 12-lap race. Casey O'Gorman will start on pole position ahead of Ryan Hitchcock. Eddie O'Shea and Ollie Walker are due to be on the second row of the grid. James Cook and Thomas Gomez on row 3, ahead of Mason Johnson, Dylan Mellor, Lucas Brown and Josh Bannister. That's your top 10. Emmanuel Brinton just in 11th place, ahead of James Rose, Harrison Crosby and Alfie Davidson, row 7. The grid completed by Kyle Payne, Alessandro Valente, Harrison Desoy and then Taylor Stewart Campbell. There was a little bit of drama on the warm-up lap yesterday. Casey O'Gorman did not start the Mini GP50 race yesterday afternoon. Is back out, lines up on pole position for the number 7 once again. Everyone having a great scrap for the win yesterday, but will it be another fantastic run from the start, which will get underway in just a few moments time. The nerves building, the revs are rising from round 6. Glanigors in North Wales. Might be serene countryside, but nothing but action out on circuit. Marshals with the final quick words to the riders before we get ready. They look towards the start line. Marshall, the race about to get underway. A little bit of deliberation with a few riders at the back, just making sure the bikes are still revving. They look towards the green flag as it goes up. It goes down almost immediately. A good initial phase from Ryan Hitchcock, much better than yesterday's start. Ran Casey O'Gorman side by side as they came through the first corner for the first time, but he couldn't quite hold off Casey O'Gorman, who blasts off into the lead. Eddie O'Shea and Ollie Walker trying to follow them through into second place. It's very busy, and it does look like Ollie Walker into second place initially. Ryan Hitchcock in third. A much better start than yesterday's encounter. Eddie O'Shea with another decent start as they head into the corkscrew for the first time out of 12 into fourth place, challenging for third place though the number 114 rider, the green and white bike. Casey O'Gorman though leads only just from Ollie Walker.
Ollie Walker giving chase to...
And through, he's gone through. Sorry to interrupt you there,
yes,
Kiko. Someone's gone down.
Someone's gone down, not sure who that is, rider up and okay, yellow flags being waved, but Ollie Walker has gone into the lead here. Casey O'Gorman second, Eddie O'Shea, Rainmaster Eddie O'Shea there in third place. Fourth, to me, it looks like it is Dylan Mellor, is it? Might be. We'll get a confirmation on that across the line, but Ollie Walker is definitely your race leader. Casey O'Gorman, Eddie O'Shea, Dylan Mellor, James Cook, sixth place Thomas Gomez, then it's James Rose, Lucas Brown, Emmanuel Brinton, Mason Johnson. The rider who crashed, I thought it was Ryan Hitchcock. So second place on the grid, Ryan Hitchcock has made an unusual error there. He is cruising around at the back now. He's not going to be on for much points back there, but out front Ollie Walker leads Casey O'Gorman. Eddie O'Shea's got a battle on for third.
Very close. Ollie Walker, though, a lap ago, stole the race lead. Casey O'Gorman coming through the double apex right-hander just seemed to be sitting still. Ollie Walker, I'll just leave the door open. I'll just go through it, mate. Thanks very much. Third place, though, Eddie O'Shea doesn't leave many doors open. Dylan Mellor certainly wants to key for third place, but going to give it a good go. Fight now for sixth place as well. Late move for James Rose on Thomas Gomez, although not quite being able to hold it on. As down has gone Ollie Walker at the final corner, just the front end folding from under him. Back up, waiting to get back onto the bike. Unfortunate that for Ollie Walker. Casey O'Gorman resumes the race lead. And Ollie Walker looks like he's struggling to get the bike restarted, not particularly happy. Marshall's over to help him get back into this race. Ryder is up and just waiting oh so impatiently to get back into the race, but just as we were singing his praises, the misfortune unfortunately for there. But Casey O'Gorman into the lead of the race, Eddie O'Shea into second place. Dylan Mellor can sense the second place, not too far behind in third for the moment. James Cook, the number 44, also holding on for fourth place, but it can be so easily, things change so quickly in this kind of wet racing that you've just got to hold on and you could have a good result. And there is a big queue with Lucas Brown and James Rose fighting tooth and nail for 5th and 6th, and many riders also not following far too behind either. But towards the line once again, 3 laps completed already. Casey O'Gorman not disputed for the lead, but second place Eddie O'Shea. Dylan Mellor with a move up the inside going into turn 1, couldn't quite continue it, stays in third place just for the time being. Gets a better run though down towards turns 2 and 3, has Ryder's right hand side, can't quite make the move stick though, and the outside Eddie O'Shea a slightly more grip.
Lucas Brown by miles the fastest rider out on circuit last time around, 1.2 seconds quicker than your race leader Casey O'Gorman. That's your 5th place man, Lucas Brown, the number 29 in 5th place, looking to close down James Cook and those ahead of him. Casey O'Gorman so far leading quite comfortably. Dylan Mellor is giving Eddie O'Shea a bit of a headache. He's riding around the outside of him. Job done at turn 7. Beautiful move, sweeps across. So the number 31 on the red machine goes into second place, and he was again 7/10 quicker than Casey O'Gorman last time around. Casey O'Gorman at the final corner now, coming to the line. What is his lap time? Does he get into the 59s? Yes, he does, a 59.5. What does Dylan Mellor do across the line? We await to see a 1:16, so a much slower lap that time around. Casey O'Gorman has breezed clear. Lucas Brown, not quite the fastest rider on track last time around, only O'Gorman quicker than him.
Yellow flags at turn number 3. That looks to be for Ollie Walker again. Unfortunately, Ryder is up, and I think that will be retirement from this second race of the weekend. Casey O'Gorman, though, has not got the fastest lap. That goes to Lucas Brown in 5th place with a 59.2. It's just 0.2 of a second behind James Cook in 5th place. But it is 4 riders, really, for second place. Dylan Mellor starting to break away. Eddie O'Shea, having got not just James Cook, but Lucas Brown for company, really quite comfortable. Up the inside into the right-hander before the Devil's Elbow complex. Job done. Simple move on Ryder's right-hand side. And as they make their way through the final 2 corners, Casey O'Gorman storming off with the lead. Second place is Dylan Mellor, but maybe not so comfortable as he was a couple of corners. Not just Eddie O'Shea in 3rd place, but Lucas Brown with the fastest lap in 4th, just for the time being.
Lucas Brown looking to try and make that move on Eddie O'Shea at the far side of the circuit. A fast turn 3, yellow flag still waving, so there will not be a move at turn 4. That's for Ollie Walker's stricken bike being wheeled back. Ryder up and okay, as we said earlier, but Casey O'Gorman at the carousel making short work of this. Second place for Dylan Mellor. He's pulled clear of Eddie O'Shea so far, and then Lucas Brown, the revelation that has been Lucas Brown in this weather. He is someone to watch out for. He's looking to go around the outside of Eddie O'Shea at turn 6, not able to do so. Will he get the cut back on him down to turn 7 and 8? Yes, he does. So Lucas Brown slots into that 3rd place there. 3rd place for Lucas Brown. He's on a podium.
And he's catching up to Dylan Mellor exponentially through the final corner, closing in on the brakes. Just seems to have a lot more grip aboard that machine. There's also a fantastic scrap going on a little further down the order. Thomas Gomez, Alfie Davidson, they're all getting involved. Emmanuel Brinton for 8th at the moment through the Devil's Elbow. 5 riders all in one big queue. Must feel really quite frustrating if you're in that, just waiting to see whether you can make a move. They're fighting tooth and nail as they come over the line. Thomas Gomez, and then it's Emmanuel Brinton. We've got a rider down at turn 1. We can't quite see who that is. The rider is up, and they are walking back to the bike, just waiting to get back on, but it's side by side. Emmanuel Brinton And it looks like Alessandro Valente getting in for 9th as well. Eddie O'Shea has gone down at the carousel as well. My goodness me, a shame. Ryder is up, waiting to restart the race. But that means it's a fight between the number 7 of Casey O'Gorman and Lucas Brown, starting to catch up into the final 2 corners for Casey O'Gorman. Over the line now, having passed Ryan Hitchcock. Yellow flags at turn 1. Ryder down at turn 1 was okay, got back into the race. Eddie O'Shea also rejoining, but a real change at the moment. O'Gorman with a 7-second lead over Dylan Mellor with 5 laps left to go. Lucas Brown, still the fastest on the circuit so far, has caught up to Dylan Mellor, just 0.4 of a second behind, coming over the line, less so into Spoon Curve, the first of the right-handed hairpins. And yeah, so the rider, all riders rejoining the race, so everyone running at the moment perfectly fine. Ollie Walker, the only retirement so far, but Casey O'Gorman still leads. Gap starting to close down just a little bit. Dylan Mellor, though, not comfortable in second.
Casey O'Gorman leading with 5 laps to go. Lucas Brown giving chase to Dylan Mellor. In second place is Dylan, third for Lucas Brown. Casey O'Gorman, though, has got this one almost sorted. He's through the final corner, riding so perfectly well here as they come down into the first corner through their safety. But it's all about this battle for second now. Dylan Mellor is leading that battle for now. Lucas Brown seems to have realised that maybe he can't get Casey O'Gorman, so he's going to wait and he's going to calculate a move for later on in the race. Further down, James Cook is in 4th. James Rose on an all-white bike is 5th. Harrison Crosby should be the next across the line in 6th place. And then it will be Alessandro Valente, we should see, yes, 7th for him, 8th for Josh Bannister. Josh Bannister having a difficult weekend, but making great progress as this weekend goes on. Casey O'Gorman up at turn 7, just hooking back round towards the Devil's Elbow section. He has got a 6.3 second lead, and if he manages that with 4 laps to go, he will be a race winner in the Mini GP 50s.
Dylan Mellor and Lucas Brown closing in by a few tenths over the last couple of laps. And then also a great note for Alessandro Valente, in 7th for the moment, started 16th, so gaining some real ground in the later stages of this race. Over the line comes Dylan Mellor, just passing another rider in the race, having passed the number 8 of Alfie Davidson. Lucas Brown dropping behind Dylan Mellor, the gap now still 0.4 of a second, there or thereabouts. James Cook in 4th, James Rose in 5th, Harrison Crosby enjoying 6th place. Emmanuel Brinton still getting stuck in with Mason Johnson. That's the battle for 9th place as they make their way through Paddock Bend, the final right-handed corner. Good to have Mason Johnson, the number 808, back after a brief injury for himself. Casey O'Gorman, though, 2 1/3 laps left to go through right and left again. The Devil's Elbow complex downhill, so greasy. You've got to tiptoe really around these corners to get through safely. So far has been doing it fantastically well. Dylan Mellor really starting to close in, but not maybe going to be enough with 2 laps left to go. Casey O'Gorman over the line once again. 2nd place still Mellor, 3rd place still Lucas Brown. Not quite as close as he has been on previous laps. Podium could well be settled. Fight still further down the order. Still to be decided, with Emmanuel Brinton still getting stuck in for 9th place, having dropped off Mason Johnson just a couple of tenths over the last couple of laps as well.
Casey O'Gorman got a 5.5 second lead now. It's stabilised. Dylan Mellor has dropped Lucas Brown. 1st, 2nd and 3rd, it looks to me, are going to stay as they are. 4th for James Cook, James Rose 5th, Harrison Crosby 6th. The big battle is for 7th though, with Alessandro Valente and Josh Bannister. Then it's Mason Johnson, Emmanuel Brinton, etc. behind them, but no stopping Casey O'Gorman. We said earlier that maybe his wet weather skills were not as high as before, but absolutely creaming it here today. Casey O'Gorman starts his last lap, looking good so far.
Looking good so far, not only for the race leaders. Dylan Mellor starting to be close in again by Lucas Brown. The last lap a second quicker for the number 29 compared to the 31. They're almost side by side as they head through turns number 2 and 3. Mason Johnson a little further down the order in 9th, eyeing up Josh Bannister through the Devil's Elbow complex. They've been working hard, not just to catch up with each other, but Alessandro Valente also being wheeled in. 3 bikes for 7th place coming over the line. Half a lap left to go though. Casey O'Gorman on the course for another victory.
Dominant force this year, Casey O'Gorman, right from lights out at the start of the season, down in South Wales, right up to this point now in North Wales. He just negotiates the last few corners, so slick, so cool, calm and collected. He's just got 1 corner left to go. The number 7 is going to take his umpteenth win of the year. We've lost count of how many times as he took the checkered flag first. O'Gorman takes another scintillating win. Dylan Mellor has got company for second. He's just about done enough though. Yes, he has. Dylan Mellor second, Lucas Brown in third. 4th place, James Cook should come across the line ahead of James Rose. 6th place will be Harrison Crosby. Here comes James Cook first of all through the final corner. Top 4 finish for him. That'll do just enough. 5th for James Rose. Great stuff from him. 6th place, Harrison Crosby has come from 13th on the grid. Sensational stuff. And as you said, Dan, Alessandro Valente from 16th on the grid is 7th. Mason Johnson gets 8th place ahead of Josh Bannister. So Josh Bannister just pushed down to 9th. And Emmanuel Brinton on a run to the line with Thomas Gomez. Who's it going to be? Did Thomas Gomez nick that? Yes, he did. Thomas Gomez did take that. 10th place, breaks into the top 10 on the line by 18 thousandths of a second ahead of Emmanuel Brinton. Kyle Payne 12th. This fallen Eddie O'Shea in 13th. Ryan Hitchcock and Alfie Davidson, the last of the point scorers, and Ollie Walker, an early race leader, out of the points today.
So your highlights for the Mini GP50s getting underway from the start. A decent start by Ryan Hitchcock, but Casey O'Gorman easily managing to get through on Ryder's right hand side. Through the first couple of corners, we had a rider down at the start of the race, up and okay. Everyone who did have a slight tumble was up and okay. This, the moment what changed the race lead. Ollie Walker sliding off at the final corner, did continue, and then a slight fall another lap later. That was his end of his race. A great battle further down the order. Emmanuel Brinton getting stuck in with a returning Mason Johnson for lap upon lap upon lap. They were side by side fighting through the final few corners, but nothing could usurp the battle for second place as well. But the riders really enjoying it. This a fall, unfortunately, down at turn number 1. Back up, they did get into the race though, so not a problem. This when Eddie O'Shea had his fall from 3rd place. The podium very different to what it was. Not different though. Casey O'Gorman, who took the victory ahead of our 2 podium people of Dylan Mellor and then Lucas Brown. Also a run to the line between Thomas Gomez and Emmanuel Brinton, taking it by 18 thousandths of a second. And that was just race 2 of 3. They will be back out later on this afternoon live on the Cool Fab Racing website, on motorsport.radio and on social media. Thank you very much for tuning in to live coverage of round 6 of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships, the official partner series to the BSB and on the road to MotoGP. I'm Dan Marr, alongside me as ever throughout 2018, Kiko Giles. The Extreme 200's up next, and they've got a bit of a benchmark with that Mini GP50 race to contend with.
They absolutely have, with these tricky conditions, although it has stopped raining. That's the important thing. It has stopped raining here in North Wales, and we are going to see, I think, a dry line appear very soon, if not, I'd say definitely by this afternoon. But what a wonderful championship the Cool Fab Championship is. The last couple of years has really grown. First of all, becoming a partner series to the British Superbikes, and then on the official road to MotoGP. Fantastic recognition all the way in the domestic stage and on an international stage, and a quite rightly deserved too.
Speaking of domestic and international, Charlie Nesbitt, one of Britain's up-and-coming riders, starts second in the Extreme 200 race. Pipped on the end, well, I say pipped, it was over a second between Elliot Pinson and Charlie Nesbitt for your front row. Gareth Roberts and Will Howarth on row 2. Row 3, Oscar Pinson and Elliot Dufton, with Brandon Perrell, Josh Ingram, Alex Vella and Jamie King. The top 10, Sean Whittaker due to line up in 11th place. Nonetheless, Charlie Nesbitt having a great ride. Fortunately and unfortunately, no. Harvey Claridge in this race meeting has damaged his collarbone. and it is not going to be out for this weekend. Hopefully we'll see him out with later surgery having for his broken collarbone. Hopefully have him back out for the next round, the penultimate round of 2018 at Wilton Mill in Northamptonshire, just outside Long Buckby, not too far from Northampton itself. If you're local, please do come down, free to spectate at all Cool Fab Race meetings, or you can join us on the Cool Fab Racing website on motorsport.radio. Live coverage throughout 2018, but we get underway with the Extreme 200s. Marshall's away from the grids, looking towards the starting line. Marshall, it's not when the green flag goes up, it's when it goes down. The revs build, the nerves are up, the checkered flag not out here. We just get underway, but from second place, Charlie Nesbitt on the left-hand side of the grid got a great start, storming into the lead for the first time out of 12, but being hounded down to fourth place. A poor run out of turn number 1. Elliot Pinson and Will Howarth trying to follow them all through. Will Howarth eventually dropping back into fourth place, side by side for the race lead already. Charlie Nesbitt, the number 86, holding on only just for the race lead. Elliot Pinson is getting stuck in as well, side by side, almost through the double apex right-hander. Side by side for the race lead though, and Gareth Roberts giving it a good fight as they come into the Devil's Elbow for the first time.
Gareth Roberts taking the lead then. It is the lead for Gareth Roberts. Second place for Elliot Pinson. They just flick round to this difficult end of lap. It's Charlie Nesbitt on the inside. Spud Nesbitt trying to get through on the inside of Elliot Pinson, but failing to do so at the tightening right-hander that ends the lap. So Gareth Roberts leads. Elliot Pinson second. Charlie Nesbitt in third. Will Howarth is fourth. Alex Vella's the best of the rest, and in sixth place is Elliot Dufton. Brandon Powell, the fluorescent yellow machine, in seventh place. Josh Ingram is in eighth place. Jamie King ninth. Oscar Pinson 10th. Sean Whittaker in 11th. But out front, Gareth Roberts already pulling away from your second place rider, Elliot Pinson. Will Howarth has slotted into third, and uncharacteristically, Charlie Nesbitt down to fourth place. He won't have looked that far down before.
Well, he was a second off pole position, qualified in second, but a second off pole position in yesterday's qualifying sessions. Will not be too happy with that. Gareth Roberts, though, as happy as can be, leading by a good couple of machine lengths. The battle for second and third really raging on. Will Howarth sat plumb in the middle between Elliot Pinson and Charlie Nesbitt. A 51.0 for Gareth Roberts, 2 seconds out ahead of Elliot Pinson already, as we got a faller on the exit of the final corner. Paddock bend, rider up, getting back onto the bike. In fact, just walking to the side, might not be getting back on. Fortunately though, big moments.
That is Elliot Dufton, who's gone down on the straight. He's just taken a breather to gather his senses at the side of the circuit. He is up and okay, but back out front, Gareth Roberts is making short work of this. He's looking very, very good indeed. The 2-1-2 on the green bike, can't miss him. It's so outstanding at the front, and that is not just his skill set either. Second place for Elliot Pinson. Will Howarth in third. Fourth for Charlie Nesbitt, and you've got to wait a whole year for Brandon Powell in fifth place. But out front, Gareth Roberts making this look easy in this difficult, tricky, horrible, half wet, half dry conditions.
Well, we're only 3 1/3 laps into this race out of 12, so plenty of time for things to change. And Elliot Pinson's got Will Howarth for company. Will enjoying some good riding over the last couple of meetings, really grown into this championship. The number 96, a great competitor in many categories in the Cool Fab Racing paddocks, almost pulling side by side for second place. Elliot Pinson struggling maybe with the movement of the bike, a bite of understeer going into the double apex right-handers to come into the final third of this lap into the Devil's Elbow. Yellow flags in, so green flags all around the circuit now. Elliot Pinson has to hold on just about. Will Howarth using his torque to his advantage, and now goes down. Elliot Pinson with a struggle, losing the rear end going through the paddock corner, the final corner. Rider is up, might be getting back onto the bike. We'll wait and see in a moment, but now it's a two-way fight for second place. Will Howarth and Charlie Nesbitt will use that and keep an eye on that. Think, well, I can, if I just wait, I might be able to pick them all off and take the win just through a few moments. Elliot Pinson though, just waiting to get the bike restarted and then back into the race.
Very lucky there, Elliot Pinson. Will Howarth was following him very close behind. Great evasive riding from the 96, who is now promoted, of course, into second place, and look who's in fourth. Brandon Powell. I always say you can't rule him out. He started 7th. He always races very, very well. Brandon Powell in fourth. It's a lonely ride in fourth, mind you, but it's a very safe ride in fourth, and one error from the leading riders, he could find himself on a podium, and what a pleasant surprise that'd be for the yellow Powell, the 146. But out front, the leaders are quite spread out. It is Gareth Roberts, Will Howarth and Charlie Nesbitt. All of them are lapping at pace in that order. 1.6 seconds a lap quicker. Gareth Roberts is just so fast.
He's flying in this race so far. Half distance in just a few moments' time for our race leader. The 2-on-2 of Gareth Roberts. His championship lead only going to be extended by this. Jamie King in 7th, Alex Vella in 6th and Josh Ingram in 5th. Oscar Pinson in 8th ahead of Sean Whittaker.
Gareth Roberts has a moment there. Danny almost blew it all away. Gareth Roberts, dear oh dear, foot down, he'd lose a mark in trials riding, but luckily that doesn't matter. How did he hold on to that? And he probably still lapped quicker than anyone else. 51.8 that last lap around. 52.1, yeah, he still was lapping quicker than anyone else, but he almost threw it away. That was in the devil's elbow. It's so hard to get that perfect every time. It's so easy to make it a horrible little unnecessary mistake, really.
And these bikes with a lot more torque than some of the categories at Coolfab, it's very difficult to tame them in these greasy conditions. Even the slightest amount of wheel spin can cause you problems. Elliot Dufton and Elliot Pinson both found that out from the final corner, for example. But now maybe that'll calm him down. Maybe think, well, I won't chase those extra couple of tenths. I've got a gap of 5.9 seconds, still lapping 3/10 quicker than Will Howarth. Charlie Nesbitt in 3rd, lapping half a second slower than Will Howarth. So the podium looking set at the moment. Sean Whittaker starting to close in on Oscar Pinson as well, as the leaders making their way through the mid portion of the circuit. It's a frenetic pace we're running. 51.9 for Gareth Roberts his last lap, at 50.3 is his fastest lap so far. Down has gone.
No, Brandon Perrell, I was just saying you don't need to be doing that. Brandon Perrell has gone down. It is so easy to do, and he has dropped down to 5th. He's got back up and he is okay. He's riding back on, but he's into 5th place, just drops that position. Josh Ingram now takes over from 4th, right in front of the family as well. That is not something they want to dwell on. But out front, Gareth Roberts making short work of this, closing on Sean Whittaker to lap him, and then Will Howarth and Charlie Nesbitt just about 6 or 7 seconds behind. It is a Gareth Roberts rout at the moment.
Gareth Roberts storming off into the lead. 4 laps left to go for our race leaders. Plenty of action, not just in the Extreme 200s, but for the rest of this morning's racing. The Mini F1 sidecars will be joining us on track in just a few moments' time, followed by the Mini GP70s, which will really emulate some of the action that the Extreme 200s put out. They had some dramatic racing, especially in race 2 at Red Lodge a couple of weeks ago. Gareth Roberts, though, having learned his lesson, not quite as strong Gareth wasn't at Red Lodge, but really taking to the Glanigors circuit in North Wales. Conditions really suiting him, his setup and the bike. Over the line to come, 3 laps left to go, just passing the number 94 of Oscar Pinson, who's got Jamie King not too far up the road. Over the line for the 176 in 7th and Oscar Pinson the 94 in 8th. They were just 0.3 of a second ahead of each other, and they're going to fight going into Spoon Corner. Could make a late move for Oscar Pinson. The race leader having passed him, and Oscar just watching, waiting, trying to make the right time for a late move. Into the corkscrew, tries to go side by side, couldn't quite get the move done, couldn't outbrake them. Coming into the corkscrew, it's such a long left-hander. You can try and make a move, but it can upset the second half of your lap if you do so. Into the devil's elbow, it's line astern so far. But for 7th place, Jamie King just holding off Oscar Pinson.
No, he's not. Oscar Pinson has just pushed Jamie King right out wide. So unlucky for Jamie King. He's been overthrown there by Oscar Pinson at the start of Devil's Elbow. I wonder if that's going to be how it stays. We shall wait and see. But no question about your leader, Gareth Roberts, ahead of Will Howarth and Charlie Nesbitt. Josh Ingram in 4th, Brandon Perrell in 5th. I wonder what the gap is between them. Brandon Perrell lapping a couple of tenths faster each lap, but at the moment I'm not sure that we're going to see much change there. The gap is 9.3 seconds. So Brandon Perrell is going to be looking at 5th at best unless there's a mistake from one of the leading riders.
Never say never. Life can change pretty quickly in the cool FAB-Racing paddocks. The Extreme 200s though, not probably going to change in a hurry. 7.2 seconds over the line. Gareth Roberts and Will Howarth, the last lap board now for the number 212 of Gareth Roberts. A masterclass in riding so far. Just 1.150 kilometres left to circulate to take the victory. Few riders, Charlie Nesbitt going past Jamie King, putting a lap on, really struggling with the front end, nearly went onto the grass, which in these soaking wet conditions you really do not want to do. Oscar Pinson pulling out a gap of 4.2 seconds to Jamie King in 7th and 8th, but half a lap left to go into the corkscrew. Gareth Roberts taking it easy, doesn't need to worry too much about passing the other riders in this race. Got it sewn up, Kiko.
Gareth Roberts, it's been a dominant performance. He's got all the way to 6th place. He's lapped all the way up to 6th place. He has been masterful today. Gareth Roberts, one corner between him and yet another win in this class. Yes, he's done it. Gareth Roberts, another win, the 212. May as well just have number 1 on the front of that bike. Will Howarth, the 96. Little wheelie, he'll be happy with 20 points. And 3rd for Spud Nesbitt. He crosses the line in 3rd place. 4th place should be Josh Ingram. We're just waiting for him. He's just coming into Devil's Elbow. It's a very spread out field here today in this second Extreme 200 race. Josh Ingram just weaving through, and I think we've lost Brandon Perrell again. Brandon Perrell has crashed out again. That's on the entrance to the Devil's Elbow. He's up and okay. He will still be 5th because the gap was so big. Josh Ingram is 4th. Brandon Perrell will cruise round for 5th place as everyone else just coming across the line further downfield. Elliot Pinson in 10th has already taken the flag. He's a lap down. Brandon Perrell, well, he's done it the hard way to take a top 5 today. 146 into 5th place. Alex Vella should hold on for 6th. But that is a fantastic race. The highlight of this race, there was some unbelievable action.
Well, Gareth Roberts started the race, got a great victory, and he had a good start at the very start. A few people having a few moments. Elliot Dufton and Elliot Pinson both having big moments out of the final corner. Paddock Bend just losing it on the transition to the curbing. Luckily, both should be okay. But as they continued on with the race, Gareth Roberts just got his head down and took a great victory. In the end, 6.6 seconds, which belies his pace. Had been working his way through some of the other riders in this race, so didn't need to worry too much about it. And they will be back out later on this afternoon after lunch. Speaking of frenetic pace, the mini F1 sidecars will be out on circuit next. Live coverage of round 6 of the 2018 Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships.
This is the Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championship, the official partner series to the BSB.
The mini F1 sidecars head out onto circuit for their sighting lap. Mick Williams has once again scored pole position, but it was very close in yesterday's 2 qualifying sessions. Just a couple of tenths of a second that separated the number 26 from the number 44. 26 and 44, Mick Lee, your front row. Simon Ibbotson and Adrian Ems on row 2, with John Hosker, Jack Walters on row 3. Row 4 due to be Mark Parker. Didn't quite have a good race yesterday. Don't believe he got out, but as they circulate around, we'll give you confirmation as to who will start this race just a few moments' time. Mick Williams won't win every race this season after his penalty in race 3 last time out at Red Lodge, but yesterday swept to a great victory. Was challenged at the very start though by Mick Lee, the number 44. Can he do the same in this next one? Well, we'll find out in just a few moments' time. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the Cool Fab Racing website, on Motorsport Radio and on social media. Live radio and visual radio coverage of round 6 of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championships, the official partner series to the BSB and on the roads to MotoGP. And we get ready for the race start, looking towards the green flag now as it drops once again. Mick Williams, a decent start. Mick Lee trying to go side by side into turn 1 for the first time out of 6. Couldn't quite get it through though, and Mick Williams released into the lead, the number 44 in second. Adrian Ems trying to challenge up in the order as well, but as they're almost side by side, Simon Ibbotson with a late move on Ryder's right hand side into Spoon Curve. The tightening right hander is a spin for Adrian Ems at said corner as well. Does get on the way, rejoins at the very back of the field. Should have the pace to make it through. He did yesterday, but so far Mick Williams in the lead ahead of Simon Ibbotson, and Mick Lee going straight on at the carousel. So could that be a potential retirement or just underestimating the grip? Passenger and rider both push it back onto circuit, so now they rejoin at the very back of the field. Mick Williams though, the only constant on this first lap out of 6, the 26 leading from Simon Ibbotson in the bright blue machine. Still a bit of a gap though to third place already.
Mick Williams is proper going for this as well, believe it or not. He's really out to the edge of the circuit, using all of the curb and more. Third place is Mark Parker. He is chasing Simon Ibbotson at the moment. John Hosker 4th, Adrian Ems 5th, Jack Walters in 6th. Mick Lee finally comes across the line in 7th, and a distant 7th. He is a long way behind, but no such problems for Mick Williams at the front. He's leading from Simon Ibbotson. 2.5 seconds is the gap.
Only extending over the first portion of this second lap. Mark Parker into third, battling away with John Hosker. Good to have the 230 back out onto circuit. Fortunately didn't take part quite yesterday, but the 127 challenging for the final spot on the rostrum into the double apex right-hander before the Devil's Elbow complex. Such a hard sequence of corners for a passenger and rider to really make it through. They all make it through fine. They do like to use a lot of the wide curves on the first and final corners, which a few of the sidecars yesterday went bouncing around. Case in point, the 127 of John Hosker, demonstrating just how bouncy those curbs can be. Adrian Ems up into 5th place ahead of Jack Walter, starting to close in. Mick Lee still circulating and starting to pick up the pace, so could be challenging for 6th place in a couple of laps. Not the problem that Mick Williams has got though. 4.6 seconds, 1 minute dead, 0.622, nearly 2 seconds ahead of Simon Ibbotson on lap times alone. 3rd place between Parker and Hosker, closing in as well through the carousel, and the really sideways moments for the number 230, which is allowing John Hosker to catch up. Could be a challenge before we know it into the double apex right-hander.
Race in this race is really for 3rd place. Mick Williams has got 1st place sewn up. Simon Ibbotson has got 2nd place at the moment. There is no one else around him using all the curbs, so Simon Ibbotson was asking for a new spine yesterday. He'll need another one after today's races, but the battle for 3rd, Mark Parker and John Hosker. It's 230 versus 127. They go through the first corner now. It's all about the run up the straight through the kink at turn 2, and then the long turn 3. Turn 4 is maybe where you'll make the move. That's at Spoon Corner, and I can tell you John Hosker is right alongside Mark Parker. He's going to go into turn number 4 late on the brakes, just about edging alongside and not quite making a move. Looks to the outside now. Good defensive driving from Mark Parker. Short burst down to the carousel at turn 5. Inside line, looking up the inside for John Oscar, but can't make it work. Mark Parker holds on. He runs it wide. Is that his normal line? If it is, it's cost him because through has gone. The 127 John Hosker in the white outfit has headed into the podium positions now. Mark Parker has got work to do if he wants to regain it. Race leader Mick Williams onto his penultimate lap. Simon Ibbotson likewise. The gap between them is 8.9 seconds, but the battle for third. It is now John Hosker in the lead. Mark Parker in fourth.
Still plenty of time for that to change. Very wide on the apex of the final corner for the 127, and that's all the invitation that Mark Parker needs to start catching up. Adrian Ems trying to take liberties as well, but all that's doing is allowing Jack Quarters in the number 2 machine to catch up. Last lap 3/10 slower for Quarters than Adrian Ems. Mark Parker was nearly a second and a half slower than John Hosker. That's what cost him the lead in the third place battle. And it started to stretch out now for third place. John Hosker really settling into the position. Already though, the last lap boards being prepared, being shown to Mick Williams through Paddock Bend, the final corner for the penultimate time. A big old slide from the rear, from the right-handed corner. Keeps it in, only needs one more lap. You don't want to be doing that too much though. Third place though, John Hosker being reeled in by Mark Parker. Half the lap, the 127 really has some good success, and then the 230 can really close in with some of the twisty parts of the course. Slow exit from Devil's Elbow for the 127 of John Hosker. That could be crucial in the battle for third place. Adrian Ems also being challenged for fifth place as they head on to the final lap.
It's going to be a Mick Williams win though. How many times have we said that this will be his 17th win, a 16th win from 17 races? It is something quite spectacular. A dominant force in the Mini F1 sidecar class, himself and passenger just coming through the final part of this circuit now at the Devil's Elbow section. There is going to be no dramas here. He's going to take this win in convincing fashion ahead of Simon Ibbotson. Down to the last corner, it is a Mick Williams win. Who'd bet against that at the start? If you did, you're an idiot. Across the line comes Mick Williams, a lovely win for him. Simon Ibbotson, tremendous second place, deserves that as he comes to the line in the fluorescent turquoise colours, but the battle is for third place, third and fourth, and fifth and sixth now, because Adrian Ems has got Jack Quarters for company. John Hosker was a little bit wide there. That gives Mark Parker a chance at the last corner. Mark Parker having a look, can't quite make it work. John Hosker using all the curb and more, but just about holds on. Mark Parker fourth, run to the line for fifth place. Jack Quarters across the line. Did he get Adrian Ems? Yes, he did, by just 0.06 of a second. So Adrian Ems mugged on the line. Well, that'll be going on Crime Watch later on. We're just waiting for Mick Lee to come through the Devil's Elbow. He will be seventh, but what a finish there for fifth place. It was Jack Quarters who nicked it on the line ahead of Adrian Ems.
So the highlights of the second Mini F1 Sidecars race of the weekend. The start, a good initial start from the number 44, but the 26, Mick Williams, blasted into the lead. They headed into the complex. That was where Mick Lee went wide. That was the end of his run at the front. The battle for third between Mark Parker, John Hosker closed in the later laps, running very wide over the Kirpin, getting very close. Parker versus Hosker, John Hosker, and just about holding off for fourth place. The win though went to Mick Williams in very convincing fashion. Does he do it any other way? Side by side, almost over the line for third place, but the battle for fifth, running side by side over the curbing. Adrian Ems ran it too deep for company. Jack Quarters saying, thank you very much, I'll have that. So an extra few points in that race. And one more race later on this afternoon for the sixth round of the 2018 FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championship. Live from Glenegor's on the FAB-Racing website, on social media and on Motorsport Radio. Thank you very much for all of your comments. Thank you very much for joining in. In case you didn't get a chance to have a listen to yesterday's racing activity, or you want to catch up on the 2018 season, head over to the FAB-Racing website and on motorsport.radio, where you can download all of the racing so far as a podcast. You can listen to it on the way home, at work, at your desk, wherever really. But the grid now out onto the circuit for the Mini GP70s. 2 races for them left. Well, yesterday's racing, always exciting in the Mini GP70s, gives it a good go. And it will be Evan Belford who starts on pole position ahead of Casey O'Gorman. Bailey Stewart Campbell and Owen Mellor are on row 2. Finn Smart, Sean Abel, row 3. Row 4, Rossi Banham and Jack Kirch. James Rose and Saffron Watley. Good to have Saffron Watley back. She'll be taking part in the second race in 10th place behind James Rose in 9th. Kyle Payne, Taylor Lawrence, Elliot Crosby and Holly Harris round out the 7 rows on the grid. And as the sun starts to shine in North Wales, ready to heat up the action on track for the Mini GP70s. Yesterday's race though, Kiko, a really close affair.
Rain interrupted yesterday's race. Evan Belford took the lead the lap before the rain came, and that meant he got his first win in this class. Will he be able to repeat that feat here today? Well, we will see. Casey O'Gorman was beaten in the class, and now we will I don't know what we'll expect from Casey. It's all going to be very, very interesting. Rossi Banham looking like he's going to be starting from pit lane, so Rossi Banham I think is a little bit late there. The number 13 rider has not been allowed out to take part in the warm-up lap, so it's going to be a pit lane start. He will go once all of the other riders have passed the exit of pit lane. He's not the only Rossi that's not had great race starts lately, I can tell you that. Austrian Grand Prix later on, of course. But here at Cool Fab, Evan Belford and Casey O'Gorman on the front row.
From the Austrian Alps to the Welsh countryside, race 2 for the Mini GP70s about to get underway. They look towards the start line marshals. You start it with the flag. It's not when it goes up though, it's when it goes down. It's a long old hold. Evan Belford gets a great start. A poor start for Casey O'Gorman going into turn 1 for the first time. Belford leading ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell on the run down towards turns 2 and 3 for the first time, sweeping around the outside. The number 7, Casey O'Gorman, back into second place, proving that the traction off the line isn't everything. Evan Belford though back into the lead, not for the first time today. Casey O'Gorman determined to get into the race lead just to prove a point indeed. Bailey Stewart Campbell 3rd, 4th for Sean Abel, 5th for Finn Smart in the early stages of the race. Rossi Banham already on the back of the field.
Bailey Stewart Campbell in 3rd. We've already spoke about him all weekend. And through, coming on the inside is Sean Abel trying to get through at turn 8 there. Not this time, but Bailey Stewart Campbell's had a very quiet weekend. He's in 3rd place at the moment. But out front, it's the story of yesterday. Evan Belford and Casey O'Gorman leading this race. Evan Belford ahead of O'Gorman. Will it stay like that for the duration of this race? We'll wait and see. Both of them using all the curbs. Sean Abel makes a lunge at turn 1, gets ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell, so Sean Abel is into 3rd place. Owen Mellor's trying to get past Finn Smart as well on the run up the straight to turn 3, but not able to do so, and in fact gets mugged himself. I think that was by James Rose going round the outside. Don't forget, also keep your eyes out for Jack Kirsch. He's quick in this kind of iffy weather. He loves this kind of stuff. We saw him shine until he crashed at Red Lodge. Hopefully,
down has gone Casey O'Gorman.
Casey O'Gorman has gone down out of 2nd place. Casey O'Gorman has gone down. So Marshall's running, trying to pick the bike up.
He's back up and just about to restart into the race, but dropping to the very back of the field almost. And he's rejoining. He's cut half the circuit.
Yeah,
he's rejoined into 2nd place.
That will definitely be an investigation into that. I'm fairly sure you can't do that unless he's pulling in to pit lane. Doesn't look like he is,
no,
though.
He continues
so
along.
Casey O'Gorman then has took a huge advantage, and he's sitting up, and I think he knows it as well. Sean Abel is closing in on him. He will go past him.
He's slowing up down the straight, so yes, dropping back maybe 1 or 2 positions, but that I'm sure will be looked at. But in all of this, Evan Belford leading the race, Casey O'Gorman in 2nd, but after having let a few of the riders through, Sean Abel up to 3rd, Bailey Stewart Campbell in 4th place. So at the moment, Evan Belford with an 8-second lead over Casey O'Gorman. Sean Abel now into 2nd, Casey O'Gorman in 3rd, being challenged by Bailey Stewart Campbell, also being challenged by Finn Smart, the number 14 in 5th. Now just about around the outside into the double apex right-hander to start the final third of this lap, and into 4th place ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell. The sun starts to shine. Evan Belford, the 52, very competitive so far, but Casey O'Gorman fighting tooth and nail through Devil's Elbow for 3rd place.
And he's got Finn Smart for company as well. If Casey O'Gorman cannot get past Sean Abel soon, Finn Smart's going to have him as they go through turn 1. Evan Belford is miles ahead ahead in this race now. He is at turn 4. The others are just coming through turn 1. Casey O'Gorman gets a good run up the straight and gets past Sean Avon. Finn Smart follows suit, so Finn Smart going with the championship leader here. Finn Smart is now into 3rd, demotes Sean Avon from 4th, but Casey O'Gorman is back into 2nd place. We await to see what is going to happen about that, though, at the moment as they come through down into the carousel. That is on the inside. James Rose trying to make his way through. That was past Sean Abel. Jack Kirsch, we said keep an eye out for him, is ahead of Owen Mellor now. That's 7th for him. But Evan Belford, look at the lead he has here. Evan Belford is cruising off of this. That has got to be 10 seconds, at least 10 seconds, if not more than 10 seconds from Casey O'Gorman.
Well, at the moment, that might be the case. 3rd place, though, still being contended. Finn Smart into 3rd, Bailey Stewart Campbell 4th. 5th is going to be James Rose. Sean Abel also losing out to Jack Kirsch on that last lap, so having a few struggles on that bike perhaps. 14.7 seconds is the race lead. The gap for the race lead, Evan Belford with the fastest lap ahead of Casey O'Gorman. Finn Smart, Bailey Stewart Campbell and James Rose, just a confirmation of the order, but James Rose, Jack Kirsch 5th and 6th, both hounding Bailey Stewart Campbell, who's also got Finn Smart ahead. They're just tiptoeing around the corner at the moment, the long left-handed hairpin. It's quite one line through there, but if you can set yourself out with a good run, can really elevate yourself up a couple of positions. But Finn Smart may be a cork in the bottle. Bailey Stewart Campbell determined for 3rd place. And there's a 20-second penalty for, will that be rider number 7? That is Casey O'Gorman. 20-second penalty applied at the end of the race because he cut the course, pushed by the marshals through. So well done to race control for having a decision on that so early on. But nonetheless, Evan Belford will not be worrying about that. 15.6 seconds as we approach the halfway distance in this race, ahead of Casey O'Gorman. Finn Smart in 3rd, Jack Kirsch in 4th, and is really looking to fight for 3rd place right on the circuit. In fact, down the inside has gone through. So Jack Kirsch really having a good race so far.
Casey O'Gorman at the moment would be dropped to 9th place overall with that 20-second penalty. He would be dropped to 9th place, so cutting the course has really not done Casey O'Gorman any good at all. Evan Belford across the line again. 6 laps to go for the Mini GP70 race 2 here. A dramatic, a controversial encounter for sure, but Jack Kirsch, we said look out for him. He is so fast in these conditions. Will he be able to break away from Finn Smart? Both of these riders looking for their first podium of the year. Who will get it first, Jack Kirsch or Finn Smart? They're coming onto the straight now. Jack Kirsch didn't get a good run. Finn Smart, an ambitious move on the inside. They're going to touch it almost at turn 1, and that gives James Rose the power up the straight. They're neck and neck, James Rose and Finn Smart. 3 abreast up to the top at turn 3. Jack Kirsch sweeps across, and just about getting in on the inside was James Rose. So Finn Smart is going round the outside. He's in 5th place now, trying to get back ahead, but not able to do so. Evan Belford is still miles clear. He's just coming up 2 lap. Holly Harris, I think it was Elliot Crosby, it's one of them in 12th and 13th place. Evan Belford is so quick around here. He is making it look so easy, but the battle is for 3rd place. Jack Kirsch and James Rose now are 3rd and 4th. 5th is Bailey Stewart Campbell. Finn Smart's gone all the way back to 6th.
Well, he held on for quite a while. Bailey Stewart Campbell both having some good laps and some bad laps, but someone who's having a great run so far. Jack Kirsch, the 96th, very high up, but is going to be deposed on rider's right-hand side. Up the inside goes James Rose over the line. 52, 7 and 8 now your top 3. James Rose into 3rd, Jack Kirsch holding on though as they make their way up to Spoon Corner once again. The gap slightly extending now.
Finn Smart into 5th place as well, got Bailey Stewart Campbell at turn 1, so Finn Smart is back into the top 5. He's back into the race for 3rd place, but Evan Belford is down into the last corner now. Not long left to go for him. He crosses the line, 4 laps including the 1 he is on to go for the number 52 rider. The big battle is for 3rd place. James Rose has still got that at the moment. Jack Kirsch is 4th. 5th is Finn Smart, and closing in rapidly on that 3rd place battle. Bailey Stewart Campbell at the moment has just been dropped, but this race is yo-yoing so much I wouldn't want to discount him just yet. They're coming through the final corner. James Rose and Jack Kirsch are aware that Finn Smart is there by now. Surely Finn Smart's got a bit of time to build into them as well. He's not right on the back of them, but that can work as an advantage.
Meanwhile, also coming through, Sean Abel and Owen Mellor, 7th and 8th at the moment as they make their way through turns number 1. Evan Belford, though, into the final third of this lap. Really enjoying a good battle so far. Rossi Banham, Taylor Lawrence also enjoying a scrap for 9th and 10th. The race leader, though, with 3 laps left to go, comes over the line in turn 1 now. The gap getting quicker and quicker and quicker, but Casey O'Gorman starting to reel him in to the tune of a second a lap. Not anywhere near long enough to close in, which is something that can't be said for James Rose. 3 bikes now battling for third place. Jack Kirsch and Finn Smart on top with each other, practically almost riding pillion on that order so far. Over the line they come. James Rose just holding on to third place. Jack Kirsch 4th. 5th for Finn Smart, almost side by side. In fact, it is side by side on Ryder's right hand side into turns 2 and 3. Can the number 14 hold on for the middle portion? Yes, he can, into 4th place.
Finn Smart into 4th place, then gives chase to the podium now. Will he be able to get that number 14 bike onto the 3rd step on the box? We'll wait and see for that. This race has still got 2.5 laps to go in that group. Evan Belford is just coming up on Holly Harris now to start his penultimate lap, as he has just dominated this race. There's going to be 2 wins in this class so far this weekend. Casey O'Gorman took all 3 last year. Is Evan Belford on to take all 3 this year? We'll wait and see. Casey O'Gorman comes across the line in 2nd, but of course he's got that huge 20-second penalty. So really, this battle for 3rd is now the battle for 2nd, because James Rose is not that far.
And down has gone Jack Kirsch at turn 1.
At turn 1 has gone into the wall. He's sitting up. Jack Kirsch slides out of 4th place. What a shame for the 96, having such a great ride. And the marshals running to go and attend to him. But Evan Belford is still the race leader, ahead of Casey O'Gorman and James Rose, as Jack Kirsch is in the barriers at turn 1. Let's hope he is okay.
Well, bike being pushed away, yellow flags for turn number 1. Evan Belford in the lead of this race, about to take the penultimate lap and onto the final lap now. 1 lap left to go for Belford. O'Gorman in 2nd place at the moment will get that 20-second penalty. James Rose and Finn Smart fighting for 3rd place still. It is the number 8 versus the number 14 into the final corner. Paddock Bend for the penultimate time, almost side by side. Cannot make a move at turn number 1 though. And with half a lap left to go, Evan Belford dominant into the middle portion of the circuit.
Evan Belford has looked very cool, calm and collected all since really yesterday when he took that first win. He is just coming through now, turns 7 and 8 into the Devil's Elbow section. He is going to be your winner, there is no doubt about that, as long as he keeps it neat and tiddly-tidy through the final few corners, which he should do, as they just come through now. Not long left. Evan Belford is going to take his 2nd win in the class. I said yesterday it's like waiting for a bus, and it really is like waiting for a bus. 2 come at once. Evan Belford takes the win. Casey O'Gorman on the circuit will finish 2nd, but that will not be his final finishing position. Casey O'Gorman has got that 20-second penalty, so that means that James Rose takes 2nd and Finn Smart takes a podium, his 1st of the year, to the delight of the family. That will do just perfectly indeed. Bailey Stewart Campbell will be 4th if he can get across the line quickly. We'll see. I'll tell you if he's 4th. That 20-second penalty for Casey O'Gorman. Oh, he finishes 5th by a couple of tenths. So Casey O'Gorman's 20-second penalty keeps him 4th. Bailey Stewart Campbell 5th. Sean Abel, has he been mugged for 6th place? I think he has. Yes, he has. Owen Mellor is 6th, 7th for Sean Abel. Taylor Lawrence has just been beaten by Rossi Banham on the run to line there, 8th and 9th.
And for the highlights for the Mini GP70s, a great battle for the lead of this race. Casey O'Gorman had that penalty after, as you can see on the screen now if you're on our visual radio stream, being pushed, rejoined into the circuit, cutting out the middle portion of the circuit entirely. So perhaps not down to himself, but through others, has now gone down into 4th place. But it was a great run for our race leader, a great battle for 3rd and 4th and 5th on the road, 2nd and 3rd in the race. Finn Smart, James Rose, also Jack Kirsch with a tremendous race until that point Scraps side by side, 3 wide at one point going into turns 2. Extremely brave stuff from our young riders. The moment where Jack Kirsch unfortunately loses out, the last lap board being shown, and then Evan Belford takes a second victory of the weekend. The question is, Kiko Giles, will he do all 3 here from round 6 of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championships? Up next though, the action still continues with the AC40 Pros on circuit in just a few moments' time here at Glanigors in North Wales.
This is the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship, the official partner series to the BSB.
Round 6 of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championships, and the AC40 Pros head out onto circuit for their second race of the weekend. Mason Foster and Sullivan Mounsey start on the front row of the grid, as we've got 1 or 2 just making their way a little slower around the circuit. All cleared up though. Troy Jeffrey and Luca Hopkins on row 2, Ronnie Harris and Taylor Stewart Campbell on row 3. Clayton Edmonds, Ethan Sparks, Orlando Phillips and Harrison McKay round out the top 10. Ruben Sherman Boyd on 11th place ahead of Alessandro Valente. Jamie Woodcock, Ben Jolliffe, then Keaton Payne, Greg Marshall, Jada Howe round out the 17-strong grid. Unfortunately, no Johnny Garnett this weekend due to an injury. Get well soon, Johnny. We hope to have you here very soon indeed, fighting back for the championship. And Mason Foster needs to get some good results to place himself firmly in the lead of the series. As the riders onto the grid, the nerves building ahead of the second race of the weekend for the AC40 Pros. Now Mason Foster, the number 88, got a decent start yesterday, but Sullivan Mounsey had a great run. Will he do it again? Enjoys the damp conditions, does the number 44 rider. Oh, Mason Foster focus and win once again. We look towards the start line marshal, with the green flag being prepared for the race start. The green flag goes up, a long hold, it goes down. Sullivan Mounsey gets a very good start into the lead going into the first corner for the first time out of 9. Mason Foster trying to follow him, but cuts immediately to the right hand side of the circuit, the number 44, to cut off Mason Foster's run for the lead. The two leaders immediately pulling out a couple of machine lengths on the battle for third. Already 7 different riders getting involved with that, everyone making the first few corners clean, Kiko.
Sullivan Mounsey leading. He won his first race in the class yesterday. Will he be able to take 2 here today? Mason Foster giving chase already. Third place to me, I'm not quite sure who that is, but we'll get a rundown when they come across the line. No doubt about the leading two though, Sullivan Mounsey and Mason Foster. Of course, Sullivan Mounsey still in with quite a shout of this championship. He's by no means out of it just yet, and he's riding well at a part of the season where you need to be. You don't need mistakes, and he's not creating any so far. Mason Foster giving chase to him though. First for Mounsey, second Foster, third Troy Jeffrey, fourth Luca Hopkins, Taylor Stewart Campbell's come through to fifth, Ethan Sparks, Ronnie Harris, Clayton Edmonds, Orlando Phillips and Harrison McKay complete the top 10 with Ben Joliffe, Alessandro Valente, Ruben Sherman, Boy, Jamie Woodcock, Greg Marshall, Keaton Payne and Jada Howe, the rest of the runners and riders in this race. But out front it is Sullivan Mounsey.
Sullivan Mounsey in the lead, Mason Foster second. Third place though, already developing into a great battle with Troy Jeffrey and Luca Hopkins. They're side by side. Taylor Stewart Campbell sitting back and watching, waiting for the action to unfold in front. But it's a battle, 2 really for the lead, 3 for third place, just the way we like it. Sullivan Mounsey leading, but only just from Mason Foster into the final few corners. Mason Foster holding on to the coattails. It's very, very close stuff, but it doesn't need to be too close. In fact, the gap only a tenth of a second as they came over the line. It might even be too close for comfort. Got a rider down on the exit of Paddock Bend, the final corner. Not sure who that is. We'll come back to that.
Taylor Stewart Campbell's dropped out of 5th place there, so he has gone down. Rider up, and he's up and walking around. Bike on the edge of the circuit. But out front, Mason Foster has got the fastest
and it
lap
rains again
and is in second place so far, but the rain is coming down again. So just as we started to get a dry-ish line, the rain is coming down, and that is not what you need at all. So Sullivan Mounsey is going to be the first to encounter all of this new evolving circuit. This is going to be an interesting dynamic as this race plays out, with 6 soon to be laps to go.
But touch wood, Sullivan Mounsey had a great run in the difficult conditions yesterday. So far, so good. Still 0.128 the gap between Mounsey and Foster. Foster running side by side with him. One rider's right, then cuts to rider's left. Couldn't quite make the move done. Waits just a little longer. Troy Jeffrey still in third ahead of Luca Hopkins. Ethan Sparks in 5th place ahead of Clayton Edmonds, Ronnie Harris, Orlando Phillips, Harrison McKay and now Jamie Woodcock. Your top 10. The gap extending for the lead only slightly by a couple of lengths. Troy Jeffrey also having gapped Luca Hopkins, which is just the kind of breathing space that they need. Yellow flags still out for the bike at the final corner, which eliminates one potential overtaking opportunity. But even if he can get a good run into turn 1, it's quite difficult with the long run down to turns 2 and 3 to keep that momentum, keep it going. Meanwhile, the 2 race leaders through the final corner once again side by side. Mason Foster on rider's inside line couldn't quite pull alongside to make the move complete.
Sometimes it's just worth waiting till you get to the top of the stroke, because if you're going in early on the apex, you're not going to be able to pull it down. We got a big crash down into the last corner. Rider tumbles as the marshals run to attend to that rider. Not sure who it is. Moving on at the front, Mason Foster is giving Sullivan Mounsey some proper stick now. He is not allowing Sullivan Mounsey to do his own thing. Mason Foster running very, very close to him. The gap is he's hovering around about a tenth of a second. The yellow flags are still stationary at the final corner. Rider hobbles off the circuit, and that is the end of that for them. But Sullivan Mounsey, Mason Foster coming around to that section of circuit now. Still no overtaking, yellow flags being waved, so it'll be a run down into turn 1 maybe if they can get through, which they can't. Mason Foster does not manage to get ahead of the 44 of Sullivan Mounsey, but at the moment it is them two. Third place at the moment goes to Troy Jeffrey ahead of Luca Hopkins. Those two are tied in battle. Then it's Ethan Sparks who is ahead of Clayton Edmonds. So battles all the way down 7th and just out of it Ronnie Harris.
So Sparks and Edmonds, 5th and 6th, side by side up towards turns 2 and 3. They've got a good battle going on into Spoon Corners. The red flag has been coming out. Red flag has come out. We're not sure what for at this moment, so we'll get more confirmation on that when we get it. But we just started lap 6, 5 laps completed by the leaders. Not all of the riders had come through to complete lap number 5. When we had this situation yesterday, it became 1 lap less, but because we were at half distance, we might see a restart, but we're not sure what that is for, so we'll bring you more information when we can get it here at round 6 of the 2018 Cool FAB-Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Thank you very much for joining us on the live coverage on social media, on the Cool FAB-Racing website and on the Motorsport Radio from Gleneagles. Plenty of great action still to come from Cool Fab today, and we've got more action still to come. The Pit Bike 140 and Moto teams will be out in just a few moments time after this race. Then it will be the senior mini motos before the lunch break. But into that race so far, Sullivan Mounsey and Mason Foster both having a fantastic scrap for the lead. At points they were side by side, but the yellow flags at the final corner offering a reprieve for Sullivan Mounsey.
Sullivan Mounsey able to hold on to that lead just as he did yesterday. Got to that second half of the race when all he needed to do was replicate what he'd already done. So Sullivan Mounsey will be looking to do that if we have a restart. We're not sure yet on the scheduling, of course, but it was a very interesting dynamic there. Mason Foster running very close to him. He did that all day yesterday. Wasn't able to make it count, make a gain on Sullivan Mounsey for it.
Well, Troy Jeffrey in 3rd and Luca Hopkins in 4th at that point. Just have a quick look at the highlights now from the start. So this the race start between Mason Foster, Sullivan Mounsey cutting to rider's right hand side, getting the run into the lead for the first time. 1 down at the final corner at Paddock Bend, and they continued on with the race. Yellow flags at the final corner, which was probably the best place. The red flags then coming out. So a good race so far for the AC40 pros. Still to come, we have the Pit Bike 140 and Moto team riders. That will then have the senior mini motos before the lunch break, and then we do it all again later on this afternoon, starting with the junior LC40 Elite. But thank you very much for tuning in so far to our live coverage of the 6th round of the series. Let's have a bit of a look at some of your comments, see what you've all been saying, who you're supporting this weekend. Let us know down below. We'll get in touch if you are on the social medias, Facebook, well, on the Cool FAB-Racing page, on the Motorsport Radio as well, at M-Sport Radio on Twitter as well. If you're watching on Twitter, we've got YouTube streams. We're pretty much everywhere. You can't get away from us. And if you are listening in now and you want to catch up to the action from yesterday, or indeed from the rest of the season so far, head over to the Cool FAB-Racing website and on Motorsport Radio, because we have a podcast version where you can download it, listen to it. But your comments so far, Kiko?
Interesting to see what is coming in. Ian Walker says, good luck, Ollie Walker, number 48, and Team Walker, have fun from Gran and Grandad. Natasha Norris says, go Bugs 99. Dan Brady says, come on Bugs 99. Tony Goodson, number 31, go on my son. So, yeah, a little bit of everything there. We should just declare that was a race. The AC40 Pros has been confirmed as a race result. We are going ahead now with the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team event. Sullivan Mounsey is the race winner.
So, more of your comments. Christopher Law saying it's a cracking race, and I said these kids are good. They certainly are. And of course, with the association, the official partner series to the BSB, and on the road to MotoGP, just some of the talent that we'll be expecting to see on an international and national stage in the years to come. But also some of the current talent we see in many of our regular series, domestically and internationally. Max Cook often races in the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team category. Although having maybe a slightly warmer weekend in Austria, it has been quite wet for the Red Bull rookies. But as they head out onto the circuit now for their green flag lap, the grid will line up as follows. Charlie Nesbitt and Will Howarth will line up on the front row of the grid for this 12-lap race. Jamie King and Richard Holmes Williams on row 2. Rossi Banham and Darren Anderson make up your third row of the grid. Row 4 will go the way of Simon Clowes and John Buckle. Sean Whittaker and Simon Clowes round out the top 10 with Jason Pugh, Scott Dootson, Andrew Giles, Mark Pollitt, Mark Pradley and John Cook rounding out the 14, 15 and 16 strong grid here this weekend. The weather, well, it doesn't appear to be raining. The surface, though, still very damp, Kiko.
Late comer to the warm-up lap. I think that is the 56, Darren Anderson. He's allowed to go and join, though. Very, very lucky there, I'll tell you. He left that late. I wouldn't want to be him. He's got a race around now through all this wet stuff. Not ideal, but on the front row, as you say, Charlie Nesbitt on pole position ahead of Will Howarth. Will he be able to convert it? We will wait and see. Jamie King, Richard Holmes-Williams as well on that row. Who is going to take this victory? Richard Holmes-Williams just being escorted to his starting position. Charlie Nesbitt on that pole. Jamie King has not come round yet. Can't see where he is either. So Jamie King maybe electing not to be in this race. Darren Anderson is still trundling around. We will wait and see about all of the grid placement changes. But please don't forget to keep your comments coming in at M Sport Radio on Twitter. You're listening to Cool Fab Racing round 6 of the championship, the Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bikes Championship from North Wales and GYG Glanigors, the wonderful circuit of Glanigors. Just about to go then with the second Pit Bike 140/Moto Team race. Their first of Sunday, their second of the weekend. Charlie Nesbitt on pole position, Will Howarth second, Will Spud Nesbitt convert it. Jamie King, a latecomer, has now come to the end of pit lane. He will not be able to join now. Darren Anderson's in the wrong place. Charlie Nesbitt is remonstrating to the officials. They want to get going. It's a bit of a delay here as they just wait to see what's going on. They're still waiting as they are they going to be sent around again?
No, race starts.
Race starts. We are ready for action here.
Looking towards the green flag, the race getting underway in just a moment. The front row fully occupied. Richard Holmes-Williams solely on row 2. Makes the clean space, uses that to get into third place. A good start from Charlie Nesbitt. Second place, though, being hounded by Will Howarth on the first lap on Ryder's right-hand side up to the uphill right-hand, the quick right-hander at turn number 2. Keeps it into the lead. So Will Howarth into the lead ahead of Charlie Nesbitt. Richard Holmes-Williams a little bit lonely in third place so far. Fourth place, it looks to be Rossi Banham, and then 5th onwards a big old queue of bikes as they make their way round on this first lap out of 12. 3 for the lead though. Charlie Nesbitt fighting through the double apex right-handers. Richard Holmes-Williams on the tail though as they go into the Devil's Elbow for the first time.
Sam Clowes has had a great start. He's up into 5th place, started 10th, so great stuff from Sam Clowes. In fact, he's into 4th, so flying through Sam Clowes. Will Howarth in the lead though, ahead of Spud Nesbitt. Then it's Richard Holmes-Williams, so it's them 3 out front. Then it's Sam Clowes, the number 31, who is in 4th. 5th for Rossi Banham. 6th place for John Buckle. 7th is Darren Anderson, Sean Whittaker, Simon Clowes 9th, and 10th is Jason Pugh. Scott Dootson in 11th. Andrew Giles, Mark Pradley and John Cook round out the leaderboard, but out front it is side by side. Spud Nesbitt trying to go around the outside of Will Howarth, now cuts to the inside and lifts up Will Howarth, so through goes Charlie Nesbitt into the lead, and there's contact with Richard Holmes-Williams and Will Howarth there as they come through the carousel into turn 6. That was very, very tight. They all stay aboard though, and that just gives Charlie Nesbitt a bit of breathing space. Not that he needed any, of course.
Well, breathing space, exactly what you need when you're trying to fight like that. It becomes suffocating, the excitement on board the bikes. Over the line now, and it is Charlie Nesbitt, your new race leader, ahead of Will Howarth and Richard Holmes-Williams. 3 fighting for the lead, then quite a while until we get Sam Clowes over the line. Already made great progress into 4th place. The rain starting to hammer down again though, which could add that extra dimension. 3 for the lead, very tight. Charlie Nesbitt with the fastest lap of 52.1 compared to 52.9 and a 52.7 on the last lap. And now the rain really pouring, the riders having to tentatively ride around. Will Howarth on a Moto Team bike might be best placed. Slightly less torque than a Pit Bike 140. You've got to really manage the throttle around these conditions. Into the Devil's Elbow once again. Charlie Nesbitt not dropping either Will Howarth or Richard Holmes-Williams.
Not yet, anyway. Depends how this weather plays a part. Nesbitt is leading. Bit of a moment on the apex there of the final corner. Nesbitt is very, very hard on this bike now. In these conditions, I wouldn't want to be pushing this hard in this, but that's why he's out there and I'm not. Nesbitt leads. Will Howarth second and Richard Holmes-Williams in third place. Sam Cloud, fantastic ride, in fourth place. He was fourth yesterday in this class. He will be looking to go one better if he can. Fifth place, John Buckle.
Gone.
We've got a rider down that. Oh dear me, Darren Anderson has gone down on the straight, and that bike is right where it doesn't need to be, in the middle of the course, as everyone just about hooks around and gets through. So Darren Anderson was just about made the start of this race, has just had a big crash on the straight. He's back up and going again through turn one. The 56 of Darren Anderson is down the order now as they come into the last corner. Then Charlie Nesbitt leads with 8 laps to go now. Will Howarth in second place, Richard Holmes-Williams in third. We saw Richard Holmes-Williams put in a masterful performance in this race yesterday, and it was raining very, very hard then. Will he come good later on in this? We'll see.
Not just a battle for the lead in second place, which is captivating us. Rossi Banham getting stuck in with Sean Whittaker. They come over the line now. The number 13 in sixth place, seventh for Sean Whittaker. They go side by side through turn number one, can't quite keep it going. Sean Whittaker, a look over the right shoulder, a look over the left shoulder, really having to see where the bikes are behind him. Richard Holmes-Williams in third, challenging Will Howarth in second now. Trying to make a very forceful move going into the S's before Devil's Elbow. Can't quite make it stick though. Just placing the bike where it can't be, and through in fact has gone. Patiently waited. Will Howarth made a slight gap. Richard Holmes-Williams did not need asking twice, and a change for second place, just passing Darren Anderson. So Charlie Nesbitt leads 2.3 seconds ahead of Richard Holmes-Williams. Will Howarth in third place, Simon Clowes in fourth, John Buckle fifth, and then the battle for sixth between Banham and Whittaker. Simon Clowes starting to close in as well, so does Jason Pugh. 4 bikes through the final corner, and in fact Rossi Banham losing out to Sean Whittaker. They come over the line now, the number 12 ahead of the number 13.
Jamie King giving chase to Simon Clowes. That is in the battle down the order for about 8th place, I reckon that is. So Jamie King having a good ride there as they all trundle through. It is so difficult now in these conditions. Charlie Nesbitt's making it look easy. He's just going around his own business. Into the last corner he comes down, coming up on some traffic. Can't quite see who that is. I think it may have been Scott Dutton, the 37. He's just got past. So Charlie Nesbitt making short work of this. Will Howarth is second. Third place, second place is Richard Holmes-Williams. Third place is Will Howarth. Sam Clowes is fourth, only just ahead of John Buckle. Sixth for Sean Whittaker. Seventh Rossi Banham, Simon Clowes, Jason Pugh and Andrew Giles round out that top 10. 11th Mark Patley, Scott Dutton. 12th Darren Anderson, Jamie King and John Cook, who didn't start this race. That is your order. But out front, no questioning, Charlie Nesbitt. He is riding very, very well indeed.
Giving it a very good go so far. 2.3 seconds ahead of Richard Holmes-Williams, who's also pulled out a 5-second gap already to Will Howarth. Sam Clowes also quite lonely in fourth place. Many of the battles starting to be affected by the incoming rain, which is getting heavier and heavier. It becomes such a challenge. We heard from Harvey Claridge, who joined us in the commentary box yesterday, how tricky the conditions are. If you do happen to be on site and very little to do, please do come up to the commentary box just above the cafe here at Glandygores. We'd love to have you. Quick chat, maybe even join us on the commentary. But so far, 1 rider into the pit lane, 2 wet for them maybe. Charlie Nesbitt though, definitely not too wet for this. 2.6 seconds now ahead of Richard Holmes-Williams.
The interesting thing now is when we go for lunch, which isn't too long after this race, we've got one more to come of course, but we have got lunch to come, and this track will not be in use, so of course we have about an hour off until the next race. So really this track could get very, very wet. Standing water is an issue, although it's I say it's not raining enough. It's really coming down. You can hear it on where we are. We can hear it along on the ground outside our window. So the rain is really heavy, and I'm just thinking maybe after lunch will we get a a straight, clear race without any interruptions if it is continuing to rain. It's starting to brighten up on the horizon, but Charlie Nesbitt is leading this race very, very comfortably. He's at turn 5 now, dropping down to the carousel at turn 6, the long turn 6, double apex turn 6, picks them up both beautifully well. Richard Holmes-Williams, lap times are not rivaling Charlie Nesbitt at the moment. He's a second lap slower, and 3.6 seconds is the gap. Lots and lots of spray now out on track, especially at the far side of the course. So 4 to go, soon to be 3 to go, and Nesbitt leads.
Nesbitt leads, the number 86, mastering the conditions so far. Richard Holmes-Williams, Will Howarth, both enjoying decent runs in second and third respectively. 3.6 seconds is the gap between the number 86 and the number 126, now extended to 3.9, so that's not extending as much as we would have expected. Charlie Nesbitt maybe not pushing too hard given the challenging conditions. We've got Sean Whittaker in 6th place, John Buckle in 5th, Simon Clowes now up to 7th ahead of Rossi Banham, Jason Pugh, Andrew Giles, your top 10. Mark Prattley and Jamie King in 11th and 12th, Darren Anderson, Scott Dootson in 13th and 14th, John Cook in 15th place. Not actually taking to the start, unfortunately, and you might expect so in the very heavy rain at the moment. 53.8 compared to a 52.1, so only a couple of seconds really off the complete pace of this race so far. About 2 laps left to go as well. Not long for Charlie Nesbitt to continue swimming for a result.
John Buckle has got ahead of Sam Clowes, so John Buckle into 4th. He crashed out late yesterday, so hope he doesn't buckle under pressure again today. But Sam Clowes now demoted to 5th place. Race leader Charlie Nesbitt making mincemeat of this weather, though. He has made it look very, very easy. Very accomplished rider in these tricky conditions, and he's just cruising home. He's at the carousel now. Not long left for him to go, but the rain is really coming down. The standing water is starting to appear on track. Very, very wet out there. Indeed, it is not fun at all in these conditions, and wet leathers reek as well, so that won't be fun when they get back to the pits.
I'm sure they won't consider that too much until we start to pack up just one race after this, and then it becomes much more challenging after lunch if the rain continues. The senior mini motos will be out next, but that's just in 1 lap's time. Charlie Nesbitt takes the final lap board, 55.4 the last lap, so the pace really starting to drop off now. Richard Holmes-Williams 2.7 seconds closing up, so they are starting to mix their way through the traffic with half a lap left to go. It's unlikely, but could well change. Will Howarth in 3rd place, but still yet to come through. Such is the gap they've established.
Charlie Nesbitt is, I don't know if he's knocked it off as in pace wise, but he's definitely getting closed down. Richard Holmes-Williams 2.7 seconds is the gap with a lap to go, and Charlie Nesbitt was 1.3 of a second slower last time around, but I think he's got it done this time. Nesbitt has got his way through the traffic, whereas Richard Holmes-Williams hasn't, so in the pouring rain it's going to be Charlie Nesbitt who is going to swim to victory. That'll do. Charlie Nesbitt takes a win in Wales here for race 2 of the Pit Bike 140s. Richard Holmes-Williams comes home in 2nd place. Will Howarth will be 3rd. Has he come across the line yet? No, he hasn't. We're still waiting for Will Howarth, and we just about make it round. Everyone just dicing through and trying to stay out of as much of the standing water as they can, because there is quite a lot now. Lots and lots of spray. Visibility will be an issue in the coming races. Will Howarth we are expecting 3rd, and in 4th it will be John Buckle with Sam Clowes in 5th. But that is your running order at the moment, and it is Charlie Nesbitt, Richard Holmes-Williams and Will Howarth, who's just come across the line, takes 3rd, John Buckle in 4th.
So the highlights, race 2 of the Pit Bike 140 and moto teams looks distinctly drier at the start of this race. Side by side going into turn 1 for the first time, challenged by Will Howarth in the initial stages. When they made their way through to the carousel on the opening laps, 3 for the lead between Howarth and Richard Holmes-Williams. The drop there for the number 56 did get back into the race. And still, as the rain continued to pour, in the end, 2 wheelies is what supported that win for Charlie Nesbitt, the number 86. Very pleased with that latest result. But 1 race left to go in these challenging conditions for the second set of races. That will be the senior mini motos for the second set of races this morning/afternoon, round 6 of the 2018 FAB-Racing British Mini Bikes Championships. Well, the weather's getting very challenging. The senior mini motos always provide close and slightly nervy racing at times when they have their moments, and in these conditions, like we had last time at Red Lodge, no one wanted to win the race, and I don't think anyone will want to win it again. Personally, 9 laps they've got to complete. Do you think they all will?
I think we'll still be here tonight trying to get this race completed. It's going to be a long one. There's going to be a lot of mistakes, I'm sure, because if it's like it was race 2 at Red Lodge, we're going to see bikes going into the fields around this circuit. But of course, that's what we like, really. We like different winners, and if we can get them, that's what we want. That is exactly what we need, different winners. Ryan Grant, your championship leader, he won't want different winners. He'll just want to be the winner himself, because he could do with a win. I think his consistency now just needs to be complemented with a victory. Some comments coming in. Linda Chadwick says, good luck, Charlie. Graham Caulfield says, go Sam. TJ Toms is joining us. Great race, says Sam Macker. Christopher Law, it's a cracking race. It really is a cracking race. We've got more of that to come here. This is the second race for the senior mini motos, the last race before lunch. This is going to be a thriller.
On to the warming up lap, well, the sighting lap more like, for the second senior mini moto race of the weekend. The grid will line up as follows. Will Howarth starts on pole position ahead of Richard Holmes Williams. They weren't like that in the previous race. Will they be like that in this one? Let's wait and see. Ryan Grant and Matt Birkin on row 2. Andy Whedon and Simon Huntingford due to be on row 3. And row 4 will be Josh Birkin and Chris Yeomans. Now, as they make their way on to the start-finish line ahead of their second race of the weekend, the first race of the day, a few of the riders just taking this opportunity to stand up, have a bit of a stretch, 1 or 2 with some emergency ponchos on to try and keep their leathers as dry as possible. And it will be very close racing indeed. We have the first 2 rows are full. We do not have Andy Whedon on the grid, unfortunately. Similar situation to yesterday. So 7 will take the start. Who will be the winner of this race? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you very much for tuning in. Live coverage of FAB throughout the 2018 season. We get underway for the second senior mini moto race of the weekend. Richard Holmes Williams storms into the race lead around the outside and quite clearly into the lead, going towards turns 2 and 3 for the first time. Will Howarth battling for second and third place, though, side by side for third place. Someone who's got a big black jacket on as they make their way down towards turn 3, looking distinctly a bit like Batman with a very large cape, but causing just a little bit of air drag down to third and fourth.
Matt Birkin, that is. I'll tell him you called him Batman later. But out front, Richard Holmes Williams is looking like he's a duck taken to water, because he may as well be a duck in this heavy water. Second place at the moment is Will Howarth. Matt Birkin is in third. Oh, Ryan Grant is in second, sorry. Can't quite see over there, but third is Matt Birkin. Fourth is Will Howarth. But breezing off at the front, Richard Holmes Williams. He did this yesterday and he's doing it again today in the proper rain. This is today. Someone down at the back end of the circuit, rider up and okay. Not quite sure who that is. We're not going to speculate. We will see. I'm fairly sure of that. But they are up and okay and running off again. But it is Richard Holmes Williams out front.
Richard Holmes Williams enjoys a 2.7 second lead just on the first lap out of 9. 8 left to go. Second place is Ryan Grant. Matt Birkin and Will Howarth also following. It's 4 for second place. They're a little bit further strung out, but in these early stages of the race, that's not really too much of a concern for them. They're just trying to find all the available patches of grip, because it can be so difficult coming into the 2 right-handed, going through the apex and into the Devil's Elbow complex. And Matt Birkin, the number 5, closing in on Ryan Grant, not especially so, but just keeping there or thereabouts. 3 for second place. Will Howarth in 4th place for the time being. Could well change in the next couple of laps through the final corner. They go in a great run for the number 96. Just what he needed, but no positions gained. Second, Ryan Grant. Third, Matt Birkin. Fourth, Will Howarth, who does a cheeky look going up the inside at turn number 2. Can't make it. And 4.5 seconds is your race lead for Richard Holmes Williams, a 56.0 as opposed to a 57.7, the next fastest lap. Wow, really pushing.
They'll pull him up in the steward's office later for being a fish, because he's taken like this. He's going like he's so fast in wet weather. He was so fast yesterday. 4.5 seconds after 2 laps is something quite remarkable, really. 7 laps to go in this heavy rain. It's a deluge out there. Ryan Grant second, Matt Birkin is third so far. Will Howarth in 4th. 5th place, Josh Birkin. 6th, Chris Yeomans. He crashed out earlier, but he's back up and going again. Simon Huntingford is in 7th, but no stopping Richard Holmes Williams, who's already in turn 1, as the others start to come across the line. It is Ryan Grant who heads the rest.
And Ryan Grant now 6.2 seconds behind. Matt Birkin starting to close in. Will Howarth attacking now once again, trying to look for the inside at turns 2 and 3, not quite able to pull up. And it's a very challenging run on these smaller bikes, because you just sit there with a throttle pinned open and just waiting for it to move. You sort of feel yourself pushing yourself forward to gain an extra few miles an hour. A very tricky thing to do in these conditions, no doubt. But Will Howarth maintaining 4th place at the moment, really attacking for 3rd place, and through the double apex right-handers. Hasn't been closer in this race before. Really closing in, just a couple of feet behind. In these conditions though, you'll get a face full of spray.
Richard Holmes Williams coming down into the last corner. He is flying, using all the curbs as well. I wouldn't be doing that. Stay off the paint. Richard Holmes Williams going like the clappers. He's across the line. 5 to go. 56.4 that last lap around Ryan Grant, a 57.5. So 1.1 seconds quicker. Richard Holmes Williams is making it look easy. Ryan Grant second, Matt Birkin third, Will Howarth fourth, Josh Birkin is into 5th place. But that is your order at the moment in the top 5. Chris Yeomans and Simon Huntingford in behind as well. But Richard Holmes Williams is cruising off at the front, still looking beautiful out there. Inch perfect, no errors at all. Riding to his limit, riding very well. Class act, we know this, and this is where his championship could really take a turn. He could be in with a huge shout of victory if he is able to.
So we've got a yellow flag down at turn 3, has then come back in, so just a brief stop for someone. The bike's not enjoying the weather so far, but side by side a little further down the order as they were making their way through some of the other riders in this race. It's really thrown a curveball in for Matt Birkin and Will Howarth. The gap closing in again. It's half a second now as the rain continues to pour. There's about 6/10 off at the moment, so the race is slightly slower, but Birkin versus Howarth still very close.
Should just say, if you're just joining us, no, this is not the National Speedboat Racing Series. This is the amazing Coolfab British Mini Bikes Championship on the road to MotoGP. Fantastically run series indeed. Loads and loads of talents crammed in on a domestic level. There has been so many exports. On a world level, there has been so many exports. And you are literally watching the next batch of those here today in North Wales. But out front, Richard Holmes Williams, if he could ride like this every weekend in the dry and in the wet, he'd be uncatchable. He is sensational. The 126 is into the first turn with 3 laps to go. Ryan Grant has got his hands full though at the moment. Matt Birkin and Will Howarth have far from given up that battle for second place.
In fact, they're starting to reel him in. The last lap for Ryan Grant, a 58.5 compared to a 57.7 for Matt Birkin and a 57.8 for Will Howarth. So the number 16, Ryan Grant, not enjoying the pace that he does in the dry in this current stage. There's 3 laps left to go, 2.5 if your name's Richard Holmes Williams. And as they make their way into the later stages of this lap, the battle for second place now really starting to evolve. Matt Birkin looming large on the rear of Ryan Grant. Really does not want to be challenged. The temperature starting to hot up for that battle into the Devil's Elbow section. You go right, you go left, you go right, and then you go left again, downhill, off camber, very bumpy, difficult part of the circuit, and dropping off only slightly now. Ryan Grant having a bit of a gap to Matt Birkin on this stage now. 2 laps left to go though.
Right on the apex of that final corner, there seems to be a big bump or a little bit of a dip, and it's full of water, and it's really unsettling a couple of rides, so they might want to be a little bit more careful and respectful at that point of the circuit. With only 2 laps to go, you do not want to be making any silly errors at the back end of this race, having done all the hard work leading up to the end of it. Indeed, Will Howarth is still leading quite comfortably. You can hear the rain over our headsets. That's how heavy it is here in GYG. It is ridiculous out there at the moment. It's a thunderstorm without the thunder.
Well, it was predicted thunder at one point over the course of the weekend. Just a storm, as producer Lester Forbes feeds back to our ears. 1 lap left to go now, though, and the very brave marshals handing out the final lap board to Richard Holmes-Williams, who's really enjoying this race. Will enjoy this final lap most of all because they can pull in very quickly. The battle for second, Ryan Grant coming over the line now, and it isn't close. It's very close, getting closer than it has been for the duration of the race. It is second, Ryan Grant, third for Matt Birkin, but looking on riders right and riders left. Will Howarth getting well and truly stuck in now, but with half a lap left to go, it's going to be Richard Holmes-Williams on course for a dominant victory. But who will be second? Will it be Ryan Grant? Around the outside goes Matt Birkin very late in this race. Used the outside line, hasn't quite got it, but as they come into the corkscrew and the carousel for the final time, it's side by side, Kiko.
Richard Holmes-Williams leading this race very, very comfortably. He's only got this section left to go. We'll come to that battle for second when they get down into the same section, but Richard Holmes-Williams is absolutely flying away. 1 corner to go, final corner coming up. He's just got to be able to get round the back markers. It might be wet, but there will be love all around for Richard Holmes-Williams. Takes the win. Big battle for second place. Ryan Grant has got, at the moment, got it. Will Howarth has got third as they get a drag to the line.
They've gone down.
2 have gone down. Will Howarth just about, did he avoid it? Who was that? Ryan Grant went down. They're going to run to the line. It's a 100-metre sprint, and they just about get there. 2 on the grass.
My goodness
We've
me.
decided to chuck ourselves on the floor in sympathy. Who was that? Ryan Grant. Matt Birkin was the one who got second. Will Howarth third. Ryan Grant, despite falling over onto the line, does not get on the podium, and Josh Birkin takes the remnants of all the debris that is scattered across the start and finish line. 6th place will be Chris Yeomans. I don't know about you, but I think that's a stretcher for depression he wants, not that there's any injuries there. Unbelievable, and a gentlemanly handshake. What a finish to that, and that will be, of course, on our cameras if you've just tuned in there. Head in hands, Ryan Grant, I grant you that was a silly error indeed.
My goodness me, what an end. Richard Holmes-Williams did not get to see that. 9.4 seconds ahead of Matt Birkin, who just, with a photo finish, they were going side by side, 3 wide over the final corner, and they just caught the curb. They all managed to go through in the end. This is how it started, though, and it was Richard Holmes-Williams who took a dominant lights to flag victory right around the outside of row 1. And as they make their way over the line now, it's very challenging. Highlights continue to roll. You can see how heavy the light rain, well, the rain is not light, it's very heavy coming over the line. Over the line for the final time, though, and it was Richard Holmes-Williams who took the victory. But as they come through the final corner, the battle for third place. One of them runs wide, Ryan Grant runs wide, he clips the curb in front of both of them. Luckily, Matt Birkin catches it, keeps it through, but then they both pick up the bikes. They're down, they look at each other going, hang on, neither of us have finished the race. They pick up the bikes, run to the line in what one can only describe as a Nigel Mansell finish,
and they go for each other's bikes, which is the best bit. Quick, run. But
then Will Howarth, unfortunately Will Howarth did get over the line. They pick up the bike and they take it, but whilst it might be entertaining for them, it's good to hear both riders are okay. So that will be a clip to enjoy over the weekend. We'll have that, definitely have that on the motorsport.radio, on the Cool Fab Racing social media pages, and on the website. You'll be able to catch that clip and many others from the second set of the action this morning. But we've got the third and final set of races coming for round 6 of the 2018 Cool Fab Racing British Mini Bike Championships. Just as the rain starts to disappear, the sun comes out, and hopefully it dries up for the third and final set of races, Kiko. But your highlights in just a few moments, apart from that photo finish at the end then.
It's been a brilliant day's racing. It's been a brilliant weekend, actually. We'll sum all that up later, but my highlights has been everyone's ability to get around all this wetness so very, very well. It's been horrendous rain out there now, and now as we all go for lunch, it stops, which means I don't get wet as I go over my fajita I think we've got today.
Well, it might well rain in the short interlude between our walk back to the paddock, but thank you very much for tuning in to this morning's racing, and we've still got plenty of action to come this afternoon live on Motorsport Radio, on the Cool Fab Racing website and on social media. Thank you very much for all of your comments and for tuning in, and well, keep them coming because we'll be back on the air very soon indeed. And also, just want to say an exceptionally big thank you to all of the marshals and the medics and the race organisers. Very difficult conditions to work in, and they've done a stellar job as ever. But it's not ending quite yet. We're going to be going for the third and final set of races in just a short while. We'll see you back here very soon.
The original and best British championships for mini bikes. This is Cool Fab Racing.